Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Olivia and today I will be walking you through a somewhat mini tutorial plus roller coaster of emotions and journey that was making this pink costume right behind me, which it looks very underwhelming right now. It looks a lot better in person, I'll just say that. Maybe we'll we'll get into it. It was interesting. So I decided to make my own costume because I'm going to be competing in less than 2 weeks, which is worrying. I just realized that, today's January 1st. Happy New Year. Anyways, and I needed a costume. I'm dancing Dulcinea, which is the character from Don Q, which is the character in his dream of his ideal woman. And so the ideal woman needs to have the ideal costume. And I was looking online and they all cost roughly $800, $1,000+. And I thought, I don't want or need to spend that much money on a costume if I'm going to be using it maybe twice, maybe 3 times at the most. And then I remembered I can sew. Now, not all costumes cost $1,000 to $2,000. The blue one, which is behind me right there, I got 5 years ago now, I think, maybe even longer, 6-7 years ago. I got it when I was 13, so yeah. Decades ago, I got it, and it was $250 on AliExpress for a very crappy brand. But despite it being cheap and a crappy brand, honestly, it's great quality. It's held up. It still fits. It works. So there's always that. But the price of that, because of inflation and the economy, has doubled and then tripled. So it was still going to be at least $800 for me to get a costume. And I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I know how to sew. And I don't really have that much time, but I'm going to try and squeeze it in anyway. And it ended up working. I have a costume now. And it was very rewarding. So now that we got past the whole backstory of why I decided to sew a costume, we'll get into the how I sewed the costume. This is interesting, and I remade the costume 4 times. I'm not kidding. Or 4 times. I don't know. 4 times, I think it was. So I originally decided I had found this a photo. These 2 very blurry images of Svetlana Zaharova, who is a famous ballerina. If you don't know ballet, she's one of the top 2 most famous people out there for ballet. Anyways, she was performing at La Scala in Milan, and she was wearing this green costume for Dulcinea, and I saw it. It was very blurry, the image. I'll probably be putting it up here. I could barely see the tutu, but it looked beautiful. I thought, that is stunning, even though I can barely see what she's wearing. So I thought, okay, I'm going to recreate it. I had this similar colored green material. It was definitely not stretchy, but I thought somehow I'll make it work. And so then I went to the store. I'm also dancing Talisman, so I'll also share the preparation of how in the world I made that costume. And I thought, I'm going to make the Talisman costume pink and the Dulcinea costume green. So I got green tulle because I only needed to get material for the bottom. So in total, the money that I had to spend on this costume, aside from all the other beads and things that I already had at home, which are just sitting, and I also removed from old party dresses, which those dresses needed to go anyway. I spent, I think, a total of probably $60 for both of these costumes together combined, compared to $800 for one, minimum $800 for one. So I feel pretty good. I spent a lot of time making them, but it's fine. I got to listen to a lot of podcasts and learn stuff, which hopefully is still up there. Anyways, all of that rambling gone, I decided I was going to go with Svetlana Zaharova's green costume. I started to sew it. I started to attach all these things. And then because the image was so blurry and I couldn't find another image of her wearing the costume or another dancer wearing the same costume, I thought, okay, I have to be creative and come up with what in the world is on the bodice design, because I just really could not decipher it in the image at all whatsoever in any form. And that created a really hideous rendition of it. And after, I think, maybe 1 or 2 days, I decided, this looks terrible and it's not going to work. So then I resorted to pink. I had bought a pink tutu at the same time that I bought that blue tutu, just a plain pink tutu, which is this. It was just a plain rehearsal tutu. And I tore it apart, put it back together, and decided I'm going to sew a bodice to it and just make it like the green thing where it touches at the waistline to kind of hip line, and the tutu's right there, and it'll be simple. It wasn't. Once again, I made a bodice. I sewed on all the design and everything, and then once it was kind of like half done and I sewed it to the tutu and everything, and I thought, here we go, finally, I have a costume. I looked at it, was squinting my eyes, and I just realized, no one sitting in the audience is going to be able to see anything that I've sewn on this, because it's just like, it just blended in way too much, that it just looked bad. It did not look like a costume. If it was just like a dress, a ball gown with a long skirt, it would have been fine, because arguably there was a lot of beading on there, and I did that all by hand, and I designed it, but the way I designed it, there was just like no space for me to be able to put in really sparkly stuff so that it would actually stand out on stage. So 2 weeks ago from today, January 1st, the competition is in less than 2 weeks from today. So roughly 4 weeks before the competition, I decided, scratch that, I'm going to take it apart and just restart. I forgot to mention, because I said I restarted this costume 4 times. I created the green bodice twice, so that's how it was 4 times. I took the material that I was going to use for the talisman costume. I ended up mixing it with the tutu, which actually created a bit of depth in the costume and ended up working quite well. And I decided I was just going to make talisman blue, because I had this dress that I got I was living in South America, so I was going to have a quinceañera. I didn't end up doing that. So I never wore the dress. It was a really nice dress, but it was like a wedding dress, but it was blue. And I decided I'm going to tear it apart and I'm going to turn that into the talisman costume. So that ended up being for that. So then I had this pink material that was very nice, and I thought, well, now I can use this. I'm going to start from scratch. So I cut and sewed the bodice, and then I began sewing on the beads. And sewing on the design was not easy. I tried finding just basic designs. A lot of tutus look very similar in how the layout is on the bodice for the design. Obviously, it's very different beading and lace that's put on there and the sequins, but they're all kind of very similar. They'll sometimes have the skin color piece going down here, so it looks like you have a really deep low cut, even though obviously it's skin color. Sometimes it'll be up here, sometimes it'll be more boxy square, and it was just difficult to find something that was very easy for me to follow on. Also, the fact that I had like 5 types of beads that I was going to be working with. So this is where the dress that I wore for my older sister's quinceañera came into play. We both had these extremely jeweled dresses, which I'll surface the image just for this because it's really funny, but those did not need to be worn again ever. But the great news about that is that for some reason we still had them with this ridiculous amount of plastic jewels. So I thought, okay, I have these jewels. They're glimmering in pink, purple, green, blue, kind of, which is fine. So I'm going to center those jewels on the costume and try and figure out whatever else I can do with these pink pearls and sequins around it, because I had kind of a minimal amount of other stuff, but I had a ton of these big jewels. So that is the creative process behind it. There were 2 tutus that I got a bit of inspiration off of, and then the rest of it I thought, okay, I just need to design my own thing at this point, because nothing was inspirational online except for these 2 things, which arguably don't look anything at all like the design that I ended up putting on my bodice. But yeah, that's how I ended up with that. And then there was this one tutu which does not look anything at all like a normal performance classical tutu. Looked more like a couture ballet inspired dress thing that would just be sitting in a window and no one would ever use it unless they're walking on a runway. But the nice thing about that is that it had this really nice thick jeweled like belt between the tutu and the top. So I took from that and put it on my tutu, which we can see. And then for the actual tutu itself, I didn't really do much else other than put some more jewels on it because I didn't want to take away from the top and the waistline. I ran out of time to make a tiara, and frankly, I ran out of beads. I did not have enough beads, and I thought, well, yeah, I don't have time and I don't have beads, so I'm just going to buy a tiara. So I found the perfect tiara, which is the perfect coloring for it, on Amazon for $10. I'm very proud of that purchase. Anyways, if you're looking for a tiara for a competition, performance, or if you just want a tiara, I put it on my Amazon page because it was a great price and it's actually pretty good quality. I got another one for $20. That one, the quality is not great, but this one I like. Last but not least, the final touches. I did not have skin color elastic, so I put on white elastic, and what I'm going to be doing is painting the elastic with foundation. A lot of dancers do this to point shoes when they're dancing a role where they need skin color shoes, like if they're Keytree or something. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the elastic. It's going to work. I haven't done it yet, even though I'm talking about it right now. Well, you'll see. And then I just made earrings, and I'm good to go. The only thing I'm waiting for are those hook things, which I'm going to be sewing onto the back, and that'll just be the closure. The dreaded hook things that takes like 10 minutes to hook on anytime that you wear a tutu, but it's the best closure. For the talisman costume, I am using a zipper because this is stretchy fabric, so it was a bit risky with the zipper because it can just unzip. With the other one, it shouldn't, in theory. We'll see about that. So that is that. I have a costume now. Of course, life isn't perfect as much as I've messed up making this costume. I tried it on for the first time last week, and it was slightly too long, so it made my torso look very long. So of course I had to go ahead and take it in, but that prompted me to add another layer of jewels on the waistline to hide the line that I sewed, and it's looking better. So everything happens for a reason. Yeah, I'll be wearing this, and you get to see footage of me wearing it, probably, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm very proud of it. The great thing about sewing something is that you can say you sewed it, and you save a ton of money. Not a ton of time, but you save a ton of money, so yeah. So that is that. It's taken me like 30 minutes to explain this whole very long and lengthy story, but the results were pretty impressive. I'm impressed with myself. I made this, or I'm proud of myself. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will be obviously sharing what it looks like on me at some point. Yeah, I hope you're inspired to sew. I think sewing, every girl should learn how to sew. Sewing is a great life skill, so if you don't know how to sew, it's very simple. So that was a pun. Anyways, before I get cringy, I'm just gonna say thank you for watching and goodbye. It's beautiful.